Alright, well we're back with part 2 of the official review for Killzone 3. Again, this is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, I encourage you to go watch that first. Basically in part 1 we talked about the campaign and the multiplayer, so basically the gameplay of the game. I did not do a co-op campaign because it was actually the exact same thing as single player campaign, and my friend and I actually tried playing some of the co-op campaign on the demo, and it suffers from the same problems it seemed on the demo as all the other local co-op campaigns, as far as frame rate being pretty bad and hard to tell what's going on because the screens are small, and so I did not do that, so I can't really talk about that, but it is the single player campaign just with 2 people. Alright, so we'll leave it at that. Oh, excuse me. So, tips for the game. Well, there are a few. Again, as I said before, the cover system, it doesn't really work very well. Not improved from Killzone 2 in that standpoint. So my advice as far as taking cover, find something big, okay? And usually, like the sides of the map or something like that, have some big items that you can take cover behind. Because if you try to run out there and take up, cover behind like a concrete barrier or something, it's not going to work. You're going to die anyway. So they'll shoot your foot and you'll die. So don't do that. Another thing I actually found pretty useful is if you're just getting mauled, or they have a really stupid spawn point in a campaign where you die and they spawn you and you have 8 sentry bots in your base. What I found is useful is you can just turn around and sprint to the back of the level, and normally enemies won't hit you back there. So if I'm in the middle of a giant firefight and I'm getting hit and I can't find any real cover around me, I just turn around and sprint to the back of the level or the map or whatever you want to call it, and just regain my health, regain my composure. It's not cheating.
No, cheap, not cheap.
It's not cheap either. The game is cheap from that standpoint as far as damage, but you know what? It works for me. So if you're getting hit and you can't find any fire, any cover, you can definitely find fire. Turn around and just sprint to the back of the map, and you can regain yourself and get back out there and try to clear the level, because as I said, with the bad checkpoints, deaths are pretty important. You don't want to die too many times or you might get thrown back and have to redo something that took you 15 minutes to do the first time. So that's a good tip I have. Another good tip, you have like the main characters in this game that you can run with. Basically you play as Seb again, and one of your partners is Rico, who you can run with, and you play a couple other missions with Captain Norville. Those 2 guys can revive you, okay? So if you go down and they're near you, they can hit you with a beam and get you back up. So what I found is pretty useful is if you actually stick next to those guys, because you have a tendency to, in these big battle scenes, to run away from them and do your own thing. But if you get too far away, when you get hit and down, they won't be able to come revive you, which is a pain. So try to, stay kind of close to them, and if they go down, do your best to try to revive them, because obviously if they're down and you get knocked down, they can't revive you. So it's a good idea to kind of try to stick with those 2 guys, or whoever you're with that can revive you. I don't know if they may throw a couple of other people in there that can revive you at times. I don't really remember, but I know those 2 guys are the main ones. So stick with them, and that way they can help you out when you go down. So I think that's basically it for the tip section. So now we'll move on to the rating, obviously again from 1 to 10. So a quick recap of what I thought before we rated it. A pretty solid game, pretty much exactly what I expected from Killzone. Not disappointed, not blown away either. Pretty solid though, pretty fun, besides from dealing with the sometimes annoying game mechanics and things like that. It's a pretty solid game. I had fun doing it, and it's definitely a game I would recommend if you just want an interesting first-person shooter with good graphics, and you just want to slaughter a bunch of extraterrestrials. It's fun. So after that, it's a pretty solid game. The multiplayer again is okay. I think ultimately it falls short really. It's nothing too spectacular. So after all that, I think I'm going to give the game an 8.3 rating. I feel it's a pretty solid game for campaign. The multiplayer, I would give it an 8.5, but the multiplayer is going to make me take a couple of fractions of points off just because I wasn't really impressed with it. But an 8.3 for Killzone 3, a good solid game, and I recommend. It's definitely worth a rental. I'll say that. There's not a whole heck of a lot of replayability value here, so I would say it's definitely worth a rental. It won't take you too long to beat if you buckle down and try to beat it. I beat it in 2 days, so. So that's it. That'll do it for the official Killzone 3 review. I hope you found it useful. And again, if you're looking for a good first-person shooter, sure, go ahead and rent this game, and I think you'll have fun with it. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and be sure to check out my other game reviews and also my Killzone 3 campaign playthrough if you are interested in the game and don't want to play it yourself. So that's it, and until next time, signing off.